Hello and welcome. If you're here, you're probably looking to pick up crochet as a new hobby, or maybe you're looking for a new artistic endeavor. The world of crochet is very vast and it can be quite intimidating when you're first starting to learn about all of this new fancy stuff. That's why I am here to pass along some of my crochet wisdom onto you and talk to you about where to even start when it comes to this craft, and also pass along some knowledge that I wish that I knew when I was learning how to crochet. We're just gonna chit chat, we're not gonna get too technical, and we're just gonna pass along some wisdom onto you, and I hope you're ready for the wisdom. So let's talk about sourcing the materials to crochet without breaking the bank and spending hundreds of dollars on a craft that you don't know if you're even gonna like. You definitely need some yarn. It can be a little overwhelming. There's just so much to choose from. You can never go wrong with just the regular schmegular worsted weight yarn, which is what will be a majority of the yarn aisle. You could always start off with a chunkier yarn as well, and that might be a little bit better for a beginner. You don't want to pick a yarn that's too thin. It's going to be really hard to work with. You want to be in the store, you want to touch, you want to feel, you want to get acquainted with this medium that is yarn. Facebook Marketplace is a great place to source yarn. Thrift stores love. Obviously you can go to the craft store. There's lots of deals and sales there as well. I would ask around. Maybe you have some crafty friends that are willing to give you some yarn that they don't use. Just start with one skein. Just see if you even like crocheting before you buy 10 skeins to make a sweater, let's start in small increments. You can always buy more yarn. Yarn shopping and yarn buying is a whole hobby within itself. I fucking love yarn. Let's move on from yarn because I could talk about yarn all day. Now it's time to buy a crochet hook. The mechanism that you will actually be crocheting with is the hook. And there's so many different sizes, so many different colors. Some have grips, some don't. Some are wooden, some are metal, some are plastic. What is the best one to get for a beginner? If you just want to start off with one crochet hook, I recommend getting a size 5mm crochet hook or a size 6mm crochet hook. A larger hook, you're going to see your stitches better and it's going to help you with tension and all that stuff. I actually started to learn crochet on a really teeny tiny small hook. Would not recommend that. Also, for sourcing crochet hooks, if you don't want to just get one from the craft store, Facebook Marketplace, thrift stores, maybe your friends crochet or your aunt or your grandma. I feel like grandmas always just have a random crochet hook that they just have. Once you're a grandma, you just get gifted a random crochet hook. If you're trying to source as sustainably and consciously as possible, those are some ideas for you and places to look for. There might be some other materials that kind of pop up that you didn't think about, so I'm going to go over those real fast. A stitch marker, and that is basically just the equivalent of a bookmark, just to mark where a certain stitch is, because maybe you'll have to do something special in that stitch later. Also a tapestry needle for weaving in ends and stuff like that. I personally weave in most of my ends just using my crochet hook. Tapestry needles will find you, and tapestry needles will come into your life when you're ready. They just kind of appear for some reason. You definitely need scissors. It's good to have your own personal crafting scissor that just lives in your little crafting tote. That's just something that might come up if you're doing a pattern that you're what? I didn't know that I needed that. You've collected all your little materials like a little crow searching for shiny things. And now it's okay, I have the materials. What do I need to know to actually do the thing? You'll probably want to know a couple of the basic crochet stitches. I have an entire playlist going over all of the basic crochet stitches, and I just really break it down for you there. So I'm gonna just kind of quickly go over what stitches you want to learn here, and I'll link my playlist. You definitely need to learn how to do a slip knot. That's to get your yarn on the hook. Then you'll learn how to chain. You'll probably learn how to single crochet. And then after a single crochet, you'll just move right to a double crochet. Those are mainly the core. So slip knot, chain, single crochet, double crochet, and then you'll probably learn how to slip stitch as well. This all sounds like a lot. It's okay. Again, I have a playlist where I break everything down, but those will be the basic stitches that you'll learn. Once you learn how to do those things, then learning the other stuff, the treble crochet, the half double crochet, will be pretty easy. I will say that learning how to do the stitches is the hardest part of crocheting. It took me like a couple years before like I really understood crochet fully. You know, it's one of those things where like you start and it's like okay, and then like you pause and then maybe like you do another project, just like not really clicking, and then after like a year or two of like starting and stopping and starting and stopping and starting and stopping, something just clicked, something just happened, everything made sense, my third eye opened, and I've just been crocheting like every day on the regular ever since. I'm gonna tell you about the first time I ever learned how to crochet. I already knew how to knit. I was at this like random vintage car meet, and this girl who was like sitting with me, she was just like, hey, I brought some crochet hooks, do you want to learn how to crochet? And I was just like, yeah, sure, like I know how to knit, like sure, like let's try and learn how to crochet. And then I crocheted this. This is supposed to be a bralette. This is supposed to be a bralette. Where, girl, where is the bralette? I don't see her. She's not in the room with us. And then I crocheted this. Yep. And then I crocheted this. Like, what is this? Like, whose little bubby is shaped like this? Like, what's happening? What's going on? Goes to show, it doesn't always click right off the bat. And learning the stitches and taking your time and practicing the stitches before you jump right into a pattern might be a little bit more beneficial for you. So now that we know about the different kinds of crochet stitches, now it's time to sink our teeth into a pattern. Aside from video patterns, there's also written patterns. Written patterns are more like a checklist, like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. And that might like make sense in your brain a little bit more. There's also charts. It's kind of choose your own adventure. It's kind of like see what you like. And there's a ton of free patterns online. All of my video patterns are free on here. There's a lot of free written patterns. And if you go on Pinterest, there's like a lot of those crochet charts too. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot to talk about your local yarn shops. You have a local yarn shop somewhere in your city or in your town that you just haven't found yet. Buy yarn from them, support them, take a class, take a workshop, go to the crafting circle on Thursdays. Please use your resources and support your local yarn shop. I think I'm gonna put that on a sweater. Okay, I digress. So here are some things that you're gonna have difficulty with as a beginner. Let's start with the big one. Let's say it all together. Tension. Tension. No matter how advanced you get in crocheting, tension will always be a big deal. Like things can just get really tight really fast when you're first learning, and it can be frustrating because you're like, the hook isn't even going in the yarn. Like, what am I even supposed to be doing here? Don't let that frustrate you. Start again. Start over a million times. Work on having nice loose hands. Do some hand exercises. Get those joints nice and warmed up and ready to go. That is something that lots of beginners, obviously I struggled with that a lot. So that's a thing. And usually when you have really tight tension, that's when your hand starts to ache and hurt. And then you're like questioning how you even got here. And you're like, why am I even learning this stupid crap? Like everything hurts. I have arthritis now. What is happening? Looser tension, less hand aches. Make sure to give your hands a break. Make sure to stretch. But you will develop really cool hand muscles though, I will say, okay? I have some pretty hefty muscles on my hands. It's pretty cool. I just wrote down in my notes, questioning all life decisions. So there will come a point. I wish this wasn't a universal thing, but I've heard this from multiple people. There will come to a point where you will just question all of your life decisions on how you got here. Yeah, I don't really know if I have any advice for that one. Maybe therapy. Crochet is my therapy. Sorry. You just crochet that energy right into your project, and those thoughts will eventually go away. Crochet does just have its own language. Sometimes it's a little bit hard when you're going into like a written pattern and like you have no idea like what an SC slippity doo dah day means. This is why for me I started off with video patterns, because people are verbally saying single crochet, then double crochet, then half double crochet. It's not like SC, HD, HDC. You might want to print out like your own crochet abbreviation little sheet. They have them like on Google. Just make sure you're like in the right continent, because there's American terminology and European terminology. So now that we've collected our supplies, we learned the basic stitches, maybe we've done a couple of patterns, you'll very quickly discover that there is a vast world of what crochet can do. You can do crochet home decor, you can do crochet clothing, you can make crochet plushies, you can do tapestry crochet and wall hangings. I saw someone the other day on Instagram and they make crochet picture frames. So effing cute. I'll link them. So freaking cute. You'll discover what you like over time, and it's just about trying lots of different things and just like seeing what you're into. And I want to read this quote for you. It's kind of long, so bear with me, but I think it's a great quote for people who are beginning a new endeavor. It's by Ira Glass, and I found this quote on the Lasian Theory's Instagram. Go follow her. Anyway, nobody tells this to people who are beginners. I wish someone told me. All of us who do creative work, we get into it because we have good taste. But there is this gap. For the first couple of years you make stuff, it's just not that good. It's trying to be good, it has potential, but it's not. But your taste, the thing that got you into the game, is still killer. And your taste is why your work disappoints you. A lot of people never get past this phase. They quit. Most people I know who do interesting, creative work went through years of this. We know our work doesn't have this special thing that we want it to have. We all go through this. And if you're just starting out or you are still in this phase, you gotta know it's normal. And the most important thing you can do is do a lot of work. It is only by going through a volume of work that you will close that gap. And your work will be as good as your ambition. It's gonna take a while. It's normal to take a while. You've just got to fight your way through. Ira Glass. I think about that quote all the time. I think it's a good quote to share with you guys who are just beginning to crochet, because what you're doing in your brain might be a little different than what you're doing with your hands and the work that you're actually crocheting. It's going to take a while for you to close that gap with your skill and your own taste. I also just want to share with you where I get some of my inspiration from. We're all on social media. We're all getting inspiration from the TikTok and the Instagram. But I think it's really important to really curate who you follow. I really make sure to follow people, even if they crochet like me, they do something vastly different than what I do. And I try and make sure that my inspiration comes from all the different kinds of resources, not just social media and not just other crochet accounts. If you're only following other people who are in the same exact niche as you, your work is just gonna be a little watered down. It's good to go to museums, get out in nature, read books, look at art books and art magazines. I'm always inspired by like the fashiony things that I see on Pinterest. I'm a big people watcher. I love seeing just like what regular non-internet people like wear every single day. I find that super interesting. So like you can find inspiration from like the most random places ever, even at your own grocery store or your farmer's market. Reading a color theory book will help you. Buying like a little color wheel at Michael's will also help you if you struggle with color and color theory. I find those things fun and fascinating, and that's what drives me to create a project. On that note, I feel like I have talked enough. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that I could pass some wisdom along to you. See you guys in the next video, so make sure to like and subscribe.